Let's go to pediatric appendicitis. So pediatric appendicitis, it presents similarly. Anorexia, periumbilical pain, migration of the pain to the right lower quadrant, okay? Pain may happen with movement, walking or shifting position in bed or on the stretcher. Vomiting of the pain starts. So if I ask you which of these two comes first, vomiting or abdominal pain, remember abdominal pain will come first. And then they may develop fever about 24 to 48 hours after the pain starts. And they will also have right lower quadrant tenderness. And they may have signs of localized or generalized peritoneal irritation. Okay, so you've got to learn these things just like that. Okay, now I have a question here. Please, I need somebody to read this question for us. Please, I need someone to read the question for us.
Acute appendicitis is more common in pediatric population than adult population. True or false?
Please type in your answers. True or false? Acute appendicitis is more common in pediatric population than adult population. True or false? The answer is false. It's false. Acute appendicitis is less common in pediatric patients as compared to adults. That's what the literature says. Up to date, will tell you that. Acute appendicitis is less likely in children less than 5 years of age. So adults are likely to get acute appendicitis more than young people. And then in children less than 5 years, it is less likely for you to see acute appendicitis. Less likely. So please, it is more common in adults as compared to children. Doctors, please don't miss that. Acute appendicitis is more common in adults as compared to children. Okay, good. What about the laboratory investigations? In a child, you want to do your WBC count, you want to do your C-reactive protein, you want to do your urinalysis. And if there's a child who is sexually active, say 12, 13, 14, 15, a female, then you want to do a urine pregnancy test as well, or serum beta HCG. Lab investigations in pediatric appendicitis. Urine pregnancy test in a sexually active young female, urinalysis, C-reactive protein, and the topmost, white cell count. Please, I need you to take a note of this. Even if you need to take a screenshot, do it. Pediatric appendicitis score. The maximum score is 10. What are the components of the pediatric appendicitis score? Number 1, anorexia. Number 2, nausea and vomiting. Anorexia and nausea and vomiting all score 1-1. Migration of abdominal pain to the right iliac fossa, 1. Fever more than 38 degrees Celsius, 1. Pain with cough and percussion, that is 2. Okay, right lower quadrant tenderness, that is also 2. And white blood cell count more than 10,000 cells per microliter, that is 1. And then neutrophil count plus band forms, more than 7,500, that's also 1. I need you to learn and memorize the components of the pediatric appendicitis score, please. Very, very important as you prepare for your board exam. So, how are we going to manage pediatric appendicitis? Number 1, if the child has typical clinical presentation for acute appendicitis, what should be the next best step? Look at this very well. Typical clinical presentation. What does the literature teach in a child? The literature teaches that you have to consult a surgeon, so like a pediatric surgeon, before. Let me say it again. The literature teaches that if you have a child with acute appendicitis, consult a pediatric surgeon first before you obtain imaging studies. Let me say that again. If you have a child with typical clinical presentation for acute appendicitis, doctors, please consult the surgeon first before you do urgent imaging studies. That's what the literature teaches. What about if the child has a low risk for appendicitis based on those clinical scores that we learned? What do? The child may be managed without imaging at the initial evaluation. And you may want to give antibiotics, okay? Because in acute appendicitis, you can manage the patient with antibiotics. Now, you have to give clear instructions regarding signs of appendicitis. Remember that this is a patient who has a low risk for appendicitis, okay? And you tell them that, look, if the mother recognizes these symptoms, she should bring the child back. If the child has right lower quadrant pain or tenderness, but still presents with atypical features, you want to reassess the child within 12 to 24 hours. 12 to 24 hours. Now, what is the diagnostic imaging of choice? For adults, we learned that the imaging of choice is CT scan. For children, the imaging of choice is ultrasonography. That is the initial imaging of choice. Doctors, please don't miss this. Don't confuse adult appendicitis with pediatric appendicitis. No, no, no. Pediatric appendicitis, first best imaging investigation is ultrasound. Adult appendicitis investigation is CT scan. Okay. And then there is this question that I want us to review. I want you to know the differential diagnosis of pediatric appendicitis. The differential diagnosis. So I need someone to read this case for us, please. And please start putting in your answers. Please, who's going to volunteer to read the case for us, please? I need a volunteer.
10-year-old girl is brought to the ER with right lower quadrant. Symptoms have been ongoing for the past 6 hours and is worsening. Let's do differential diagnosis each under the following categories: emergency surgical differentials, emergency non-surgical differentials, other non-surgical differentials.
Beautiful. So what I'm trying to say is that if you have a child who comes in with right lower quadrant pain, it could be a surgical emergency, it could be a non-surgical emergency, and it could be, other differentials which are not emergent. So I want you to give me 2 surgical emergencies, which are differentials, and then 2 non-surgical differentials, and then 2 non-surgical differentials, which are emergencies, and then 2 non-surgical differentials, which are not emergencies. I wouldn't want to bug you, but this is something you need to learn. Emergency surgical differentials of acute appendicitis. Number 1, in children, think about bowel obstruction. Number 2, think about intestinal malrotation. Number 3, think about intussusception. But realize that intussusception is common in children who are very young, right? Maybe a child who was breastfeeding and is weaning. Ovarian torsion, okay? And then torsion of the omentum. And it can also be ectopic pregnancy, especially if the child is sexually active and the child is menstruating. And it could be testicular torsion if the patient is a male. Okay, so that's why I put those learning points there. So please memorize these emergency surgical differentials of acute appendicitis. Memorize it like crazy. Now, emergency non-surgical differentials. What are they? Number 1, hemolytic uremic syndrome. Number 2, diabetic ketoacidosis. Yeah, diabetic ketoacidosis can present with some very bad abdominal pain, You'd be surprised. And then primary peritonitis as well. These are emergency non-surgical differentials of acute appendicitis. Now, what are the general non-surgical differentials of acute appendicitis? Number 1, kidney stones, nephrolithiasis. Number 2, sickle cell disease. Number 3, henoch-Schönlein purpura. Henoch-Schönlein purpura. Number 4, pelvic inflammatory disease. Number 5, ovarian cysts. Number 6, metal schmerz, that is ovulation pain. Number 7, pneumonia. Yeah, patients with pneumonia can also present with abdominal pain. Urinary tract infections, strep pharyngitis can also present with abdominal pain in children. Gastroenteritis, and last but not the least, mesenteric adenitis. Doctor, so please, in a child with abdominal pain, which may present like acute appendicitis, you should be able to, when I wake you up from sleep, you should be able to tell me differentials of surgical causes of abdominal pain, which are emergencies, non-surgical cause of abdominal pain, which is similar to appendicitis, which are emergencies, and non-surgical differentials, which are not emergencies. Now, what's the management of pediatric appendicitis? Uncomplicated acute appendicitis, go for appendectomy. And before appendectomy, give the patient some fluids, correct electrolyte abnormalities, IV antibiotics, and pain management with opioids. Okay? Appendectomy, appendectomy, appendectomy. Now, what if the patient did not present early, presented 4 or 5 days later, and the patient has no abscess and no phlegmon? They should also get appendectomy. What if the patient has abscess and phlegmon, but the patient looks very sick, ill appearing? What should be the management? Appendectomy as well. But if the patient has developed localized abscess, but is well appearing and does not look so sick, then what you want to do is to give IV antibiotics and do what we call interval appendectomy after about 10 to 12 weeks. IV and antibiotics, you give it for a very long time, and then you do interval appendectomy. So please know when you go for direct appendectomy, uncomplicated appendicitis, no abscess of phlegmon, and even if there's abscess of phlegmon, but the patient looks sick, do emergency appendectomy. But if the patient has, appendiceal abscess, but the patient is well appearing, then what you want to do is to do IV antibiotics for a couple of weeks, and then you do interval appendectomy 10 to 12 weeks later.